The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying small stones. Confucius. My friends, the small stones that you move every day is spending 10 to 15 minutes charting these markets with us, studying the materials we put out, and practice trading as often as you have the opportunity. Let's jump into these charts. We're back using the 3 time frame chart. And I will put again at the end of today's video the way to use these charts and the way to set them up. You'll see links to both of those videos. Beautiful thing about these charts is they show you, as you look at them, you can see all 3 time frames and what is going on the half day, the 2-day, and the weekly. Let's start off first focusing on the trend line. We love trend lines, and what's so beautiful about trend lines when you use them on the weekly, and you can see how they play out on the 2-day and the half-day or 195-minute chart, you get to see how the movement is performing on the smaller charts because we're just charting the movement as far as the trend goes on the weekly. So you get to see how far away from the weekly trend line these other moves are when danger zones are approaching, or where you're just seeing a flux occur in price over the course of time, because you will see everything doesn't perform the same way on the weekly chart as it does on the 2-day and as it does on the half-day. You'll actually have changes on the half-day not reflected on the weekly. They may have an effect, well, they'll always have some type of effect, either leaving a wick or a smaller candle or something. But if it's not changing the overall trend, then of course you continue in that direction, keeping in mind what's happening with volume and of course what's happening with your candlesticks. What I like so much about this is we can see everything happening at once. And if you want to zoom in on one of these charts, if you just can't quite see what's going on, that's easy. You just highlight the frame you're in, that is by highlighting it, and then you go down to the bottom just off the screen here where you see toggle maximum size chart, and boom, guess what it does? It pulls up whatever chart you're on. This is the weekly, so you can see it. You can set your trend lines more easily. You can follow what's actually happening with the volume, and then when you get finished with it, you just toggle it again and it goes right back into its slot. You can do that on any of these. So let's talk about where we are today with the charts. We're going to start off, of course, as we always do, with the S&P 500. It is still down. It's going down. We see that on the weekly chart. We had a pull-up back on Monday, but then things are sliding sideways and moving down a little bit, 0.36%. We haven't hit the low of last week. We are sitting here on this 30 EMA, 30 period. Now on the weekly chart, that's 30 weeks. We're sitting right there on that, not pushing through it. Are we going to see it push through and continue down or bounce off? Well, we don't know. We're waiting, watching, seeing as this week proceeds. If, of course, it does, great. The moves will continue. If it does not, then we'll see it as it's developing, first on the half-day chart, later on the 2-day, and then on the weekly as we pierce the trend line. So we're paying close attention to that. That is where we are on the S&P. What about the Qs? Well, on the NASDAQ 100, we can see that it was down 0.13%. Now, again, much smaller candle here. We can, again, toggle and zoom in on this. We're not reaching the low of the prior week. We've got that 30 EMA, exponential moving average. Is that going to act like any kind of floor here? We don't know yet. We'll see as we move through the week. We can now, again, we're only 2 days into a weekly volume setting. So if we go back, we can check the volume on the first day of this latest 2-day candle. Don't have a lot of volume there. We had a lot of volume on that previous 2-day candle. And when we look at where we are on the half-day candle, we can see we're below the average. And of course, we can see how our Heiken Ashi, let's zoom into that, how our Heiken Ashi candlesticks, again, are sort of tapping out. Now, again, tapping up on the trend line here, but again, not clearing it. Volume not above the average. Not a whole lot going on, so we'll see how this ends up shaking out for us. Like we said, overall, for the day, down just a little bit. So we'll continue to watch and see how we progress. We're still red on the weekly candle, still red on the 2-day candle, and we've got some green sideways slides here on the half days. We'll see how they continue to develop. If they move on down or not, we'll see. I think Wednesday will give us some idea as to which way we're going to go here as far as the overall NASDAQ goes. So we'll keep a close eye on what's going on Wednesday. How about TLT, 20-year bonds? Well, we can again see volume 2 days in, not far off where it was the prior week. This first day of this latest 2-day candle, after a big volume before, not so much. Down in the morning, up some in the afternoon, 0.45%, again below the trend line. So we'll continue to watch and see just what's going on here. We can see where we bounced off the 30 EMA here. We see where that's happened twice now. So we'll keep an eye. I do think, again, we'll keep paying attention as we go through the week, but Wednesday may help us get a good feel if we're going to reverse some of this move or if it's going to continue, because we're getting close to that trend line as it is on this 2-day chart and that lowered volume there. So we'll continue to wait, watch, and see. Remember, all things being equal, the market tends to move in the direction of the largest chart, which is the weekly, and we still have that weekly pushing things down. Now, move on to gold. Gold up for the day, 0.46%, but we can see on the weekly chart just stair steps moving down again. This 30 EMA, that's the 30-week exponential moving average, that is still just sitting there. We tapped it last week. We're on it this week. You know, we keep seeing that 30 EMA pop up. We'll see if we're going to clear that or not, or come off of it. If we look at where we've been the last couple of days on the half-day chart, you can see where it was up some in the morning, lost some energy, and then popped up further in the afternoon. Not a lot, 0.46%, but we'll wait, watch, and see. Volume, of course, has been continuing to drop as we have moved into this down move. I'd love to see gold turn around, bounce up, and go up strong and high, push through where it topped out before. It may or may not be willing to do that. What about Bitcoin? Bitcoin down for the day, 0.08%. Not much of anything for Bitcoin. Again, we can just see it skirting along, not much happening about where it was this last week as far as where it was topping. We can, of course, see where things popped up on Wednesday of last week and then Monday, and then just sort of rolling over a little bit as we have seen things on Tuesday. Again, pushing down on that trend line. Not much of a trend line at all, with just sort of this sideways slide. Again, what we want Bitcoin to do so we can start tracking it, following it, having some better idea as to what it's going to do, is start moving with some order and grace. Like, of course, we see on the S&P 500, green candles, followed by a number of red candles, followed by a number of green candles, by a number of red candles. You know, we want enough candles to give us a jumping in point and then be able to ride it up with some precision and get out where we can make a profit in our practice trade. We don't want something that just sort of moves up some in an undiscernible pattern and then down some in an undiscernible pattern, or sideways for a long time with nothing going that we can possibly track. So again, that's what we're waiting for with Bitcoin. Hopefully, as things settle out, it will get back to like it was many months ago when we were tracking and practice trading it successfully. So we'll wait, watch, hope, and see. Don't forget, what you're learning here using the 3 time frame charts, you can use on your favorite stocks, your favorite ETFs. You can use it to help you find options to practice trade. Again, we don't give market advice. We ask you to practice trade with us. And again, please make sure you know what you are doing before you ever consider using any money. And of course, once you think you've gotten good practice trading, we very much encourage you to start fractional trading with a very small amount of money, say $100. And then you go out and buy a few shares or a fraction of a more expensive share. And then you can track and see how well you can do with that $100. Can you make 3, 4, 8, 10% in a trade or two? Can you do it realistically over time successfully? Prove to yourself that you really know what you're doing. The rubber really hits the road when you go from practice trading where you can forget the bad things and you take a little small amount of money and you start keeping yourself honest. And then you learn, of course, how to enter a trade, how to set your good till canceled sell order at X percentage up. Again, learning how to sell a small amount of the position, letting the rest of it ride potentially. All sorts of things that we teach that help you with good habits in managing your expectations as well as your emotions. Fear and greed, those are the two that you have to control, and losses are the things that kill you. God bless, my friends. All the best from the whole team at Charting Wealth World Headquarters.